everybody, I'm really excited about this week's lesson. We're going to be creating designs out of geometric shapes on a central axis, all radiating out from the center. Now, what am I talking about, radiating out from the center? See how all these shapes all go around a center point, and they're all coming out from the central axis. The axis is this line that divides in half, horizontally, vertically, diagonally. That's the axis that you'll be placing your shapes on. The reason I love geometric art is because everyone can do it and everyone can be successful. I love those kinds of projects, and we can also talk a lot about color. Geometric art is created by using geometric shapes. What are some geometric shapes? Is anybody thinking about circles, triangles, ovals, rhombuses? That's right, those are geometric shapes. Geometric shapes are made by humans, although crystals also have geometric shapes. We did another lesson where we talked about a different kind of shape recently. Does anyone remember what kind of shape we talked about for one of our recent lessons? It wasn't geometric shapes. It was organic shapes when we did the monsters, either the blob monsters or the organic shape monsters. We talked about organic shapes in our previous lessons, so now we're talking about geometric shapes. Geometric art is considered abstract because it's not trying to represent anything in the natural world. It's just shapes. So let's get started. I was inspired to do this project because I traveled to Spain to the Alhambra, which is a sultan's castle, and Spain was controlled by North Africa for 800 years. So the Islamic art that was put inside this palace is unbelievable. Here are some examples of some Islamic tiles, although my color copy did not get the vibrancy. They're not as bright as they usually are in real life because of my color copier, but you can see all the interesting repeat patterns. So that's where this lesson's inspired by. And you're gonna take home a piece of paper like this, and what you're gonna do is you are going to cut it in half, and then just like the first video shows you, you're gonna cut out these shapes by folding them in half on the dotted line and then cutting them out. And you can see that in the first video. Cutting them out. Now you might need an adult supervision for some of this because you want them to be as neat as you can, and this is going to be your template for creating the shapes. Now there's other ways that you could create some shapes, and that is by just finding things around your house you could trace. Caps and lids. I went and found my daughter's Lego pieces. These could be used to trace for your pattern design too. If you had trouble cutting this out, you could just trace some geometric shapes you find around your house. Okay, so we're going to take our tile creator. We're going to call this a tile even though it's a piece of paper. And we're going to start to put our designs on these central axes here. So when I go to make a design, it's really helpful because we have these dotted lines here. So I know when I'm going to be in the center. So I could go ahead and line this up so that the dotted line on your template is going to match the dotted line on here, so you know that you got it in the center. It's best to put your shapes right on these lines so then you can balance them in a radial symmetrical pattern. Okay, so if you're going to use a template, you go ahead and do that. If you were going to use some shapes around your house, you would also want to try to center them on the axis. This one's nice because I can actually see through it, so I know I'm putting it right on the center, whereas this I wouldn't be able to see through, so I just try to balance it. Just do the best you can, boys and girls. That's all we ever ask. And whatever you're putting here, you want to make it the same all around. So I'm going to use the template, and I'll maybe start with some teardrop shapes. So I'm going to line it up on the line, and I can see the dotted line matches, and I can start to draw my shapes. And try to be conscious of, okay, I left a little spot there between the center going out, so I'm going to try to do the same spot. Line it up so that it's in the middle, and start to create your patterns. Now for this assignment, you can use anything you want to color it in. You can use markers like the first video showed us. I'm going to be using colored pencils, and I'm going to be trying to create some ombre effects. Ombre is what I'm referring to is when things fade in and out. So here's some that I did, and what I tried to do is create the red into the pink here. So it kind of faded in, created an ombre effect. I did the same thing with the pink and the red here. You can also do it with all sorts of 2 different tones of colors. Like if you chose to do your colored pencils, you could do the light green and the dark green together. I'm missing my dark green right now. Okay, you could do the light blue and the dark blue, or pink and purple, or yellow and orange. Anything that you see next to each other on the color wheel or on your paints, you could look here too. So the red into the orange into the yellow, or the red into the yellow. You could do all these different interesting coloring effects. Okay, so let's keep going. So we could go ahead and make this as intricate if you wanted as you want to. You can overlap shapes and colors. So let's say I'm going to go put a circle right over this teardrop shape. I'm going to line it up, and let's see, I think I'll have it. This circle can almost fit in this box here, just about. But maybe I'll go to a smaller circle. I'm going to go for the bigger one. And you can line it up and trace. Always good to draw lightly till you get it how you like it. And you can complete your design by adding more and more shapes as you go along. Just as long as it's all the same all around. Several famous art movements were inspired by geometric shapes. Like in American art, we have the minimalist movement. In Italy, we have Futurism. And of course, the famous Alhambra in Granada, that you can find all those beautiful, interesting tiles I was showing you.